You may not have enough room in your stomach to get through all of the best fast food patty melts out there, but we do. And there's only one you have to try. Originating out of Paris, California, Farmer Boys is a franchise dishing up American favorites morning, noon, and night. Unfortunately, this restaurant's patty melt is unlikely to be anyone's favorite. The beef, although grilled to order, is pounded out to a dry flatness, and the sourdough is so flimsy it sponges up all the butter before it can make it to your mouth. The puny slivers of meat are more fit for a Happy Meal sandwich rather than an adult-sized portion. Sautéed onions are listed as one of the toppings, but there's so little that you'll hardly notice them. It's disappointing how unimpressive this patty melt is, given the restaurant operates more like a short-order kitchen that actually cranks out orders from scratch, rather than a drive-thru that worships at the altar of the heat lamp. Sorry, Farmer Boys, 2 spatulas firmly down. Contrary to Sonic's retro car hop image, the patty melt is not a permanent mainstay on the menu. Maybe there's a reason for that. You get a quarter pound of dreary-looking beef on planks of brittle, mushy Texas toast, with globs of mayonnaise and mustard bleeding through. Sonic keeps its mayo on to a repulsive degree. It dampens the bread, making the entire thing fall apart as you eat it. For more balance, perhaps including a special sauce spiked with some relish or pepper would help make this patty melt more enjoyable, and a lighter layer of it at that. Hardee patty melts are both crispy and sumptuously gooey. On the other hand, Sonic's range from dry to watery, all in a single mouthful. A disappointing misfire. Avoid this one too.
You're a cheap date!
The sourdough patty melt, a staple specialty rolled out at Jack in the Box, layers Swiss and American cheese, a scattering of charred onions, and, when you double the meat, some bacon strips. Of course, everything's wedged together on 2 discs of sourdough. While Jack in the Box's melt isn't totally inedible, it's not especially noteworthy either. One could say it's an okay cheeseburger that dabbles beyond the usual backyard barbecue fixings, but Jack in the Box does a bad job convincing us that it's a good twist on a griddled classic. Once again, the buns leave a lot to be desired. They're squishy and fall apart easily like sliced bread from the supermarket, a bad sign for melts of any kind. Even worse, the fermented essence that defines sourdough bread and all of its savoriness is missing from the picture. It would help if the caramelized onions had a smokier flavor, but Jack in the Box commits the error of undercooking them, never achieving that char-grilled feel. Perhaps it's best that this is not a permanent menu item.
It's comfort food for the uncomfortable things in life.
Burger King's classic Whopper melt fuses its signature Whopper with the beloved patty melt and somehow gets them both wrong. This limited-time sandwich's proportions are totally off. The beef patties, at a quarter pound as seen on the Whopper Jr., are too small for the number of toppings on every sandwich. The heavy coating of American cheese and the piled-on onions end up overwhelming the smaller proportions. The Whopper moniker implies a mighty, weighty burger is within reach, but it's common to devour one of these faster than you'd expect. The stacker sauce has an odd taste that's hard to pinpoint. Some enjoy the hint of sweetness tucked into the relishy base, but Burger King's penchant for slathering it on is enough to turn your stomach. And considering how overly oily the sandwich is on its own, the indulgence of the sauce is definitely overkill. Hardee's launched the Frisco Burger in 1992, which Gen Xers will remember for its use of sourdough rounds rather than a regular hamburger bun. When the chain resurrected the San Francisco-inspired sandwich in 2022, it returned as the Frisco Angus Burger. If you haven't tried it, it basically features a smoke-licked patty bursting with Swiss, tomatoes, bacon, and mayo. Charbroiled is a phrase you'll often spot at Hardee's, so it's easy to assume you're in for a mouth-watering surprise. Most of the patties here have been quarter-pounders, yet this beast of a burger weighs a third of a pound. The cold toppings offer a cooling boost, something that's not always present on a pressed sandwich. But that as it may, this one still has its flaws. The beef has an artificial taste, the bacon strips are skimpy, and despite the toasted sourdough Hardee's boasts on its website, it doesn't really taste like sourdough. There are also no grilled onions to play up the savoriness. Though they have changed the patty to a quarter pound and its name back to the classic Frisco Burger, it does little to change our minds. Hardee's is okay for a quick option, but there are definitely better patty melts out there. Burgerfi ekes out a decent middle grounder with the Texas Toast Patty Melt. American cheese, as any foodie knows, is the liquid gold of burger toppings, and it glides over 100% American Angus beef and blackened curls of sliced onion. A house spread referred to as Phi sauce does a decent job of balancing out the sweet and savory flavors. While the concept of a fresh, made-to-order patty melt certainly seems promising, the craving wanes when the time comes to actually sink your teeth into it. The beef is undoubtedly tender and nicely broiled, but here's where it starts losing points. The patty itself is actually quite plain tasting. As much as quality should speak for itself, dabbing on a zesty-ish sauce doesn't replace seasoning the meat. Pickings can be slim at the drive-thru, or in this case, the front counter. But Burgerfi's temporary menu could have been better. Most chains stop at one patty melt. Culver's, however, advertises two different versions that play up its Wisconsin pride and mouth-watering beef all in one go. Available in single, double, and triple stacked patties, the sourdough melt is the chain's mainline style that doesn't stray from the traditional flavors. In this instance, though, aged cheddar and seared red onions take the place of the American cheese and yellow onions found at prior eateries. It's slim and shaped like a grilled cheese, with a buttered surface that's decently toasted.
Come have a taste of Wisconsin.
While Culver's boasts meat that's certainly fresh, never frozen, that's not the only factor to consider when grading a patty melt. So where does it stand among its competitors? Like one of the chain's rotating custard flavors, opinions are very mixed. Even though the burgers do taste moist, the plainness makes them disappear into the melted mess of cheese. Culver's also doesn't add any sauce, and a zingy spread could do wonders in tapping into the patty's potential. As the blog Indianapolis Restaurant Scene explained in its review, honestly, it needed a little ketchup or something just to add another dimension to it. Despite appreciating the sourdough's satisfying crunch, the author of this assessment found the sandwich to be a tad underwhelming overall. Steak and Shake piles its signature Steakburgers between sourdough bread to craft the Frisco Melt, a sandwich pocketing Swiss and American cheese. A blistering orange Frisco spread resembles a savory Russian dressing. When pressed properly, the Frisco Melt is a revelatory experience customers remember long after the crumbs have settled. Slimmer patties are convenient for eating's sake, and the pairing of cheeses adds a flavorful dimension beyond creaminess. These burgers are razor thin and charred to the perimeters of the patty, but with the overflow of sauce and cheese, a thicker slab of beef would better anchor the extras. There's also the extreme oiliness from the butter coating the bread. If the Frisco Melt is consistent at anything, it's inconsistency. You'll understand the popularity, so long as you order it from a solid location. Whether it's char-grilled cheeseburgers or swirly concretes, chains like Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steakburgers pride themselves on retro American dishes. The original double patty melt is no frills, and while that term might provoke long yawns in some circles, the deliciously simple execution makes it worthwhile. The beef patties are smashed and seared to order, so the freshness is already head and shoulders above much of the competition. The Swiss, meanwhile, oozes deliciously from the meat and complements the glossy, griddled onions. Freddy's also made the right call by using rye bread. Although the bread and toppings can be customized, the hint of nuttiness mixed with that sturdy crunch is frankly too good to resist. Sure, the burgers aren't the thickest of patties out there, and the sandwich comes without condiments. But isn't that the beauty of this throwback item? It's cheesy, crispy, and filled with flavor. Within 2 slices of bread, every topping manages to shine through. As one of the chain's all-time favorites making customers drool since 2008, Whataburger makes its patty melt with heaps of love. Look at the gargantuan slabs of Texas toast hugging the char-grilled patties in place. Admire the folds of mild, melty Monterey Jack cheese nestled between the beef. Savor the creamy pepper sauce oozing down the edges. Patty melts are simple enough to invite culinary exploration, and Whataburger's condiment choice is on point. An excellent ode to the patty melt in true Southwest fashion. Should there be a single thing to nitpick about this Lone Star signature, it's that there's no way to eat one neatly. Truth be told, your hands will be grubby since the beef is pretty tender and the onions are prone to escaping from the sides of the sandwich. If anything, it's a testament to the steaming hot freshness that will pull your taste buds in each and every time. There are plenty of twists to excite the palate, and Whataburger never wears out its welcome. It's a drive-thru staple and among the top patty melts in the world of fast food. Transporting diners to the 50s is what Wayback Burgers soda fountain fare does best. Regardless, no time machine could ever capture anything as spectacularly gluttonous as the cheesy burger. And that's cheesy with 4 E's. As the chain's menu description reveals, each of the vowels represents 1 slice of American cheese, stuffing each bite with quadruple the creaminess and 2 juicy patties. Between golden brown burger buns that are smashed upside down, the tasty mass before you clocks in at 830 calories. Some patty melt purists may argue that this is nothing more than a glorified double cheeseburger. There's no sautéed onions or sauce for starters. But in 2023, experimenting with old favorites means taking a few risks along the way. And reviewers feel this indulgent twist is well worth it. According to one Yelp reviewer, Wayback Burgers' version excels at fusing 2 irresistible sandwiches into one, claiming, "It tastes like an awesome grilled cheese and great diner burger combined." The secret's out. Five Guys' Patty Melt isn't technically an official offering, but the hamburger chain nevertheless has a hidden hit on its hands. In fact, the sandwich was born out of an ingenious hack that's taken social media by storm. Essentially, you order a grilled cheese off the regular menu. Then you tack on a plump burger patty and the various toppers like grilled onions and mayo. Feel free to add any additional toppings. Following this formula, the recipe is relatively easy to recreate as Five Guys has all the ingredients covered, but there's no doubt that the finished product delivers. The chain's beef is on a whole other level of freshness, and that mouth-watering moistness is present and accounted for. American cheese slathers the patties, and because there are double the slices, you're getting an explosion of creaminess from every corner of the sandwich. As much as homey bread slices stay true to the melt's form, the pillowy sesame bun that crisps up on the grill top is more than welcome. If you like Five Guys, obviously give this one a try. And if you like patty melts, well, prepare to be blown away.
We want them to leave and go, how do they make that burger so good?
At the end of the day, the Habit Burger Grill remains top dog, or really the sacred cow of patty melt perfection. The reason this diner sandwich leads the pack can be seen in the excellent ingredients. Flavorful corn rye is toasted to a snappy finish, remaining an excellent foundation for the two mouth-watering burger patties stuffed together. The cheese, like always, packs a creamy tang when nestled between the meat. And you can bet there are sautéed onions to unleash some flavor. For a little bite, it's doused in an old-fashioned Thousand Island dressing. Since it's only served occasionally, it's truly meant to be savored. It's a patty melt that lives up to the hype.